What's up everybody, Chris here from Bold Canyon Outdoors and Gear America, and today we're swapping out the yellow lenses on our Tyri Off-Road Lighting 1010s on the bumper, and we're adding a yellow lens to the V12 right in the middle. Now, I know you're wondering, we're already running yellow lenses on the 1010s, but we're swapping out for this directional lens, which gives it a straight line beam pattern, and that's good for oncoming traffic so you can drive with it on the road, or for when we're doing night recoveries and we're pulling somebody straight out. We don't want the light directly in your eyes, but we want a good darkness penetrating light that's going to be very effective when it's super dark out here in the desert. It's also awesome with the yellow lenses to penetrate the dust and of course the fog and misty weather up in the Pacific Northwest. So let's get started. Alright, replacing the lens on the 1010 is relatively easy. All you need is a T20 Torx driver, and then I like to have one of these little magnetic pans to put the screws in because I tend to drop stuff. So we'll go ahead and we'll pull off the 4 T20 Torx screws, and this is for the protective trim ring on the outside. And once those screws are out, the trim ring pops right off. This protects the screws and the lens, and you have 4 more screws to take out to remove the actual lens. With those 4 screws out, gently pry the lens out. Now under the lens there is a rubber O-ring all the way around. These lenses are relatively new, so I'm not going to replace the O-ring, but when you purchase lenses, replacement lenses from Tyri, they will come with a new O-ring set. Now as you can see, this just has faint lines up and down on this lens, and this is more like a broad floodlight lens on it. And I'm replacing it with this guy right here, which has a bunch of grid patterns on it. You can see it's ridged, and they're actually angled in such a way that it gives you a flat beam pattern, more of a projected beam that's out of the face of oncoming drivers, and like I said, makes it really easy for those nighttime recoveries. So now we're just going to make sure we put the top on top, and we're going to replace the lens and put the screws back in. Now these don't need to be overly tight. Just get them snug. You don't want to crack these ears on the lenses. So what I do is I put the screw all the way down on one, and I just go and insert the screws for all 4 of them just so they're barely snug, and then I'll go back around and I'll tighten them up. My general rule of thumb for tightening these up is a 2-finger tight. So if I'm just going to turn them with 2 fingers with the Torx driver, and that is tight enough to put a good seal on that O-ring. So they're all snug. So I just give it a 2-finger tight, go across, 2-finger tight, 2-finger tight, 2-finger tight. Now we just put the trim ring back on, put the other 4 screws in, and we are good to go. Alright, and now we have the lens changed on the driver's side. We're going to go ahead and do the passenger side one and then move on to the V12. Now before I put the passenger side one on, I wanted to show you the difference in the lights. So this is the one I just replaced, and as you can see it puts a flat line across the top. So instead of having a round focus, it's flat for that oncoming traffic and to keep it out of everybody's eyes. Alright, now here's the passenger side, which has the standard lens on it. As you can see, it's a much more round projection on it. It doesn't have that flat line across it, and this really gets up in people's faces. It's a much more of a floodlight than the other one. So it's going to be much safer on the road and much safer and out of people's eyes for those off-road nighttime recoveries. All right, guys, I was changing the passenger side and I noticed something and I forgot to mention it earlier. If you notice, this is a 4 LED 1010. They make them in both a 6 LED and a 4 LED. The 4 LED is a multi-voltage system and runs a max 4600 E lumens. The 6 LED is a single voltage and a max 4000 E lumens. Now, if you remember from my previous videos, E lumens means effective lumens because Tyri only rates their luminosity at temperature. So when they first turn on, they might be a little bit brighter, and that's what a lot of companies claim for their lumens, but Tyri wants to make sure that you're getting effective lumens and effective, consistent performance no matter when you're using it or how long you're using it. Tyri has been in the mining and construction industry for ages. They build a tough light, and that's just another one of the reasons why Gear America and Bold Canyon Outdoors uses Tyri Off-Road Lighting exclusively on the rigs. All right, now let's change the lens on the V12. It's also a fairly basic thing to do to change this lens. It's just going to be a little bit more comprehensive because of where I have it mounted. So first I'm actually going to take it off its mount. I'm going to disconnect the power to the light back here and actually remove it from the vehicle so I can change the lens. All right, with the light loose, disconnected from power, then we're going to take out all of these little Torx screws, and we're going to pop the front off and change the lens. All right, now I'm going to take out all of these little T10s and set them aside so I can take the cap off and take the lens out. Grab my little magnetic plate. We'll start carefully pulling them out. Once all those screws are removed, the face of the light will come right off. Now, we're going to want to remember to replace the O-ring here and put it in the new lens, but this lens just pops right out and we'll replace it with the yellow lens. So I'll gently remove this, and you'll notice this O-ring is concave on one side, and you want to make sure you have it oriented correctly when you put it back in. Take that out, and we'll insert it into the new lens. Then I'm going to blow the dust out of everything and we'll put it back on the light. Now we'll go ahead and put all the screws back in and reinstall it on the Jeep. All right, guys, there you have it. We put the new lenses in the 1010s and the new yellow lens in the V12. So we're all set up to penetrate that dust and fog and mist and anything else that nature's going to throw our way when we're off-road or on-road. Now, if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, definitely leave them below. Be glad to hear from you. But for Tyri Off-Road Lighting, Gear America, and Bold Canyon Outdoors, this is Chris signing off. Happy trails, everybody.